A cold wind rolled across the Swiss Alps the morning everything changed for one little girl. A child who'd spent years locked indoors was about to be thrown into a world she never asked for, one filled with rumors, danger, and a grandfather who supposedly didn't want her. But nothing about what happens next is simple, and before this story ends, a lonely girl will touch lives in ways no one ever expected. My name is Jessica Moore, and welcome to Jessica Recaps. Heidi had lived 5 long years under her Aunt Det's strict watch, never allowed to run, explore, or even step outside freely. But now, without warning, Det dragged her up the steep mountain path toward a tiny wooden cabin. She had taken a job in Frankfurt and didn't want a child slowing her down. As they climbed, Heidi kicked off her boots and tugged off her dress. Unwilling to take her inside, Alpoe locked himself in his cabin, and that night Heidi curled up in the barn beside the goats and fell asleep to the sound of. But things started shifting the next morning. Alpoe offered her fresh goat milk without a word. Then he dragged her to the village church so the priest could inspect her. The priest declared she was strong, healthy, and the old man's responsibility, but Alpoe wouldn't budge. If anything, he seemed ready to ship her off to work for a farmer. Yet Heidi didn't complain. She explored, climbed stairs inside the cabin, and discovered an attic filled with warm hay. She claimed the loft as her new bedroom. Quietly, she told him she wanted to stay. He didn't answer, but he didn't send her away. The next day, the goatherd Peter arrived for the goats. Alpoe surprised both of them by suggesting Peter take Heidi along, and from that moment, her world opened. She ran across endless hills, laughed with the herd, and breathed freedom for the first time. At lunchtime, Peter stole bites of her sausage and blamed the goats. Heidi didn't mind until she caught him hitting 2 goats during a fight. She made him stop. In return for his promise never to hit them again, she offered her half her food every day. Peter agreed instantly and begged her not to tell her grandfather. Rumors claimed he once killed a man. When Heidi returned home, she kept her distance. Alpoe saw it immediately. "What do you trust more?" he asked, rumors or your own eyes? Heidi chose him over gossip, and for the first time, she hugged him. Slowly, the old man changed. He built her a second chair, cooked for her, let her roam the mountain, and gradually he began to care. Weeks passed like a dream, but as winter approached, Peter stopped coming. He had to attend school in town. Heidi wanted to go too. Villagers encouraged Alpoe to send her, but he refused. Winter snow turned the mountain into a lonely cage, and even the wooden bird he carved didn't cheer her up. So he built a sleigh. For hours they slid down the slopes laughing until Heidi practically melted into his arms. She realized how lucky she was to have him, but happiness never lasts long. Years later, Aunt Det returned. She claimed she had found an opportunity for Heidi: school, friends, a better life. Alpoe refused. Det didn't care. She lied to Heidi, saying her grandfather wanted her to go. Heartbroken, Heidi let herself be led away. Peter saw everything but couldn't stop it. When Alpoe realized she was gone, he ran the entire way to the village, but Det was already far down the road. For the first time in years, the cabin felt painfully empty. Heidi's new home was the Grand Sesamin mansion in Frankfurt. Inside, she faced strict routines, polished floors, but that's exactly why she was brought here, to be a companion to Clara, the family's lonely wheelchair-bound daughter. Despite their differences, the girls clicked instantly. When Heidi accidentally slammed Clara's chair into a table, Clara covered for her, her first act of rebellion in years. But mansion life felt suffocating. Heidi endured baths, stiff dresses, tight boots, and endless lessons. Worst of all, she couldn't read. Rottenmeier was furious, but she had to keep her until Clara's father returned.
Still, Heidi loved nature more than anything. Every chance she got, she pocketed bread rolls, dreaming to take them to Peter's poor, starving grandmother. She also dreamed every night of the mountains. One afternoon, desperate to see home, she begged the butler Sebastian to open a window, but the mountains were too far away. He told her she'd need to climb the tallest tower in the city. So Heidi devised a plan. She pushed Clara outside, something strictly forbidden, and took her through the bustling streets. They found the tower, and Heidi climbed to the top. But even from the highest point, the Alps were invisible. On the way back, Clara cheered herself up by buying a basket full of kittens. When they snuck home, Rottenmeier nearly collapsed from panic, and then from allergies when the kittens jumped out. Her screech echoed through the mansion as she climbed furniture, begging someone to get them away. That night, Rottenmeier punished Heidi by forcing her to stand facing the wall during dinner. Next time, she threatened, Heidi would be locked in the cellar with rats. The words broke her. She tried to escape with the bread rolls she'd saved. Rottenmeier stopped her, scolding her for being ungrateful. But the true blow came when Heidi saw Clara crying, hurt that Heidi wanted to leave. Their friendship started to crack. Clara grew ill. Everyone blamed Heidi. And the dreams? The dreams got worse. She woke crying, shaking, clutching at her chest. Then Clara's father returned at last, along with grandmother Sesamon, a warm, kind woman who saw straight through the governess's lies. She read Heidi a bedtime story, but stopped halfway. If Heidi wanted to know the ending, she had to learn to read. Suddenly, reading mattered. And for the first time, Heidi tried. Days passed. She practiced with a passion she never knew she had. Grandmother Sesamon saw her potential and warned her son Heidi wasn't meant for a cage. But he refused to send her away. She made Clara happy, and that was all that mattered. Until the ghost appeared. Night after night, strange noises echoed through the house. Doors opened on their own. Floors creaked. Finally, Clara's father investigated and found Heidi sleepwalking. She wandered down the hall, opened the front door, stared into the darkness as if searching for the mountains, then curled up on the floor like a little goat. Her soul was breaking. Sebastian found a stash of dry bread rolls hidden in her closet. Heidi woke crying, clutching her chest, whispering that it hurt. The doctor examined her and told Mr. Sesamon the truth. Homesickness was killing her. She had to go home. The next morning, Clara threw a heartbreaking tantrum. She didn't want her only friend to leave, but there was no choice. Heidi handed Clara's father her wooden bird and asked him to give it to Clara. She whispered goodbye to the servants, and with a basket full of bread rolls, she left the mansion. Rottenmeier celebrated, but karma arrived immediately in the shape of one forgotten kitten, which Tinette promptly named Heidi. As soon as Heidi reached the village, she tore off her boots and ran barefoot straight to Peter's house, giving his grandmother the precious bread. Then she sprinted up the mountain. Alp-Ohi dropped his tools the moment she saw her. Heidi threw herself into his arms. She was home. Life picked up where it left off. Heidi herded goats with Peter. She wrote letters to Clara. She attended school during winter, even when the strict teacher humiliated her. She didn't stop dreaming. Then, one day, her letter reached Clara, and guilt washed over the lonely girl. So, Grandmother Sesamon gathered servants, bundled Clara into a carriage, and brought her straight to the mountain. The reunion was pure joy. Clara stayed for days, living the mountain life, sleeping on hay, touching goats, eating simple food, wearing only her underdress, and watching shooting stars. For once, she felt free. But Peter grew jealous. He hated seeing Clara spend more time with him than with Heidi. One morning, he found Clara's wheelchair outside and, in anger, pushed it off a cliff. When the family discovered the chair missing, Alp-Ohi understood immediately. He carried Clara on his back and led them along Peter's herd route. And that's when it happened. Standing on a sunlit slope surrounded by flowers, Clara watched a butterfly land gently on her foot. When it fluttered away, she reached for it, and slowly, painfully, she stood. Everyone froze. Clara, who hadn't walked in years, took her first shaky step. What happened next felt like a miracle. Over the next days, Heidi and Peter helped her practice. She learned to walk again, one step at a time. When Grandmother Sesamon returned with Clara's father, he arrived furious, until Clara stepped towards him.
His anger shattered instantly. He lifted her into his arms, crying with joy. Before leaving, Grandmother Sesamon placed a notebook and pen into Heidi's hands. "Write your stories," she told her. "Do what makes you happy." Clara hugged Heidi tight, promised to visit, promised she would never forget her. Then the carriage rolled away, down the mountain road, and as the sun dipped behind the peaks, Heidi opened her notebook, sat with Peter among the goats, and began to write, capturing every adventure, every feeling, every miracle she had witnessed. High in the Alps, the girl who once felt abandoned had finally found her place. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And when you're ready for another incredible story, check out my next video, The Most Impossible Prison Escape Ever.